It was one of those books that awakened something in me. I lit a fire under my ass or something. Hey guys, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. 2024 has come and gone. I read 180 books, so let's talk about all of my favorites. All right, I will start this video off by saying that 2024 was very lackluster for me in terms of finding favorite reads. I couldn't come up with a top 10, so I have 6 of them. I don't know what it was this year. I don't know if it was a me problem. I did have a lot of personal stuff going on. I did leave teaching in the spring. I don't plan on going back. I'm in school right now, changing careers. My husband's in school right now, changing careers. So things have just been really stressful. But that aside, when I read and I want the escapism, there's just so much that's not exciting me. I DNF'd a lot. I just felt very meh about so many books. In fact, towards the end of the year, I actually started to pick up more older books on Kindle Unlimited that were published like prior to 2018, and I found that I really enjoyed them. So for 2025, I am going to be focusing on reading more older books. I will still read new releases that I am excited for, but I'm just not going to venture out there to look for the new releases if I just don't really care, you know? But that's not to say that 2024 was not a great reading year for other people. So if 2024 was your best reading year ever, I'm so happy for you. Like, seriously, recommend me books below that you tried and loved, because I felt so sad. 2024 saddened me. But anyway, let's not talk about the sadness. Let's talk about the 6 books that did get me all giddy and happy and make me want to share them with you. All right, first up I have P.S. I Loathe You by Julia Wolf. Now, I read this last January, and it was a surprise read for me. It was just something I picked up scrolling the Kindle Unlimited app. It was a new release. It was an office romance, and I was specifically looking for an office romance because that was what I was in the mood for at the time. And wow, this just was such a treat. I don't know like if that's the right word to use, but I really enjoyed this. So this is an office romance, enemies to lovers, and it also is a pregnancy trope, but it's not his baby. And I found that I really enjoyed this trope. So we have our female main character, and she works for her boss, and he's just a grumpy asshole. And so whenever she's frustrated with him, she'll write on little sticky notes the things that she hates about him. She is like 6 or 7 months pregnant at the time that the book starts, and she is a curvy female main character. So he doesn't realize that she's pregnant. And so when he finds out that she does, he instantly like turns around his personality and starts treating her like a princess to be waited on hand and foot. Now, in her own personal life, she has a lot of crap going on with her baby daddy. She has to work, like he's convinced her to flip a house that he's not doing the work on. So things end up happening where he goes away, and then her boss moves her and her baby daughter into his house. So you're gonna get close proximity, but I just absolutely love this book. Like the steps he was willing to take to be the daddy, it was just a great one. Like I said, such a hidden gem. Go try it. Then up next, I have the Mer Duet by Pepper Winters. I read this in June, and I read it because it was a special edition box that arrived for that month. I can't remember if it was Mystic or Belle. They're like sister boxes, but they were so gorgeous. Hold on, I want to show you for a sec. So yeah, I opened these in a box and I was like, oh my God, these look like an epic summer romance. I have to make this priority for the month. So I will start off by saying, if you're going to read these books, it's best to go in blind. This is one of those stories where if you go in not knowing a whole lot, I feel like you're going to feel more magic from it, I guess. Now, this story is going to open up with our female main character in her 70s being interviewed for like some prestigious thing that she's accomplished over her life. And she's telling the reporters her life story, her love, and what led her to that. So then you are going to go back, and then you're going to go back and forth between the POVs of her and our male main character, Aslan. So what I will tell you for the setup of this story, just so you can kind of have some gist of it. The story does take place in Australia. Our female main character, her parents are marine biologists, so they are constantly on their boat with her out studying the ocean life. She's homeschooled, so she just really gets to spend as much time on the water as she can, which she absolutely loves. And one day there is a storm and they save our male main character, Aslan. And at the time that he is shipwrecked and they save him, I believe she's 12 and he's 16. So she instantly like develops a crush on him. He obviously doesn't see it that way, but her parents decide to take him in. Now, he has run away from Turkey. It's in the very first chapter of the book. He and his family have fled from their country. They don't tell you why, but it's basically said that they're in danger. He is going to die if he stays there. And so they flee in a boat, get caught in a storm. He loses his entire family, and then he meets our female main character. So her family ends up taking him in, and because he's an illegal immigrant, her family has to always face that terror of them getting caught with him going away, and the repercussions that could come with that. So like I said, this story, that is going to be your setup, okay? But it's going to just expand into so much. It's a duet, so part one is going to end on a cliffhanger, but it is just one of those heartbreaking, hurt comfort stories. I don't know. It was really fun. Next, we have What We Keep by Jennifer Millikan. I had an arc of this in August, and this is another one of those books that just absolutely took me by surprise. I had never heard of this author, but I don't know if it was Valentine or something, but I was going through my weekly like apply for arcs, and I saw the blurb for this, and it looked really good. And I got one and I binged this so quickly. It was another one of those hurt comfort that is just gonna get you. So this is a second chance romance where our two main characters were married to each other and they're trying to find their way back to each other. The first half of the book is really interesting because it's told entirely in the POV of our female main character, but she's telling her story to her therapist. She's newly divorced. She's trying to heal. What they went through was really messy. And so she is in therapy trying to recover from all of this. So when you get to part two, she's kind of moved on. And so part two is then them trying to reconcile. But basically, they have like this epic meet cute. She has a house fire and he is the firefighter that saves her and literally carries her out of the burning building. So they have this epic love, and he is one of those cinnamon roll male main characters, and they fall for each other, and you can totally tell how they're in love with each other, and it's just this epic romance. And then something happens that leads to them falling out. Now, I will say it's not cheating. A lot of people do not like the cheating trope. They will not give it the time of day. They won't think those characters are redeemable if that happens. And I will say that the thing that happens is not cheating, okay? It's a very real thing that can happen, that can tear people apart, but it was a really epic story. So I really liked it. I really liked seeing our male main character trying to get back to being a healthy person and I don't know. It was a great read. Another great hurt comfort. Hurt comforts were just kind of like the thing for me this year, but this one was good. Then Fairydale by Veronica Lancet. I read this in October. I did mention this in a gothic romances recommendation video, so if you saw it there, you could fast forward, I guess. But this is another one where go in blind to get the best overall gist. This book is long. I believe it's just under 800 pages, but if longer stories don't bother you, definitely add it to your TBR. This story is set in the 1950s, and our female main character, Darcy, works at a boarding school, and she's just received this mysterious letter from her biological father that he's passed away and that she needs to come to the reading of his will. She wasn't raised by him, so she's very curious about this, maybe wants to get some money. So she travels to the town of Fairydale, where instantly very weird and strange things start happening to her as soon as she arrives. Now, also when she arrives there, she meets our male main character, Caleb, who she has this instant attraction to. Now, also while she's in town, she also starts to have these very vivid and mysterious dreams about herself in another timeline being absolutely in love with another man. Like, she can see his face, she can talk to him and everything. So when she wakes up each morning, she's really conflicted for her feelings for Caleb versus the guy that she sees in her dreams. So that is all I'm going to say about that book, but it was just so good. I don't know, just go read it. This next one, I'm so excited to talk about. I read it last month in December, and oh my God. Oh my God. It was one of those books that awakened something in me. Like I said, for a year that was just so depressing and lackluster for reads, this coming at the end of the year just, it lit a fire under my ass or something. But it is called Cheater by Dee Prince. Okay. Do not let the title mislead you, okay? I'm just gonna say that. This is a long book, all right? I think it's like under 700 pages, but it doesn't feel like that because of how unhinged and twisted it is. So we have our female main character, and she is currently engaged to a man who is paralyzed. He wasn't paralyzed when they met. He got into a really bad accident, and now he's lost use of his legs and he can't perform sexually. After about 6 months have passed, he decides to give her a hall pass, basically saying that she can have sex with other men, but she can't like have repeat men or something like that, because he feels so bad that he's never going to be able to pleasure her that way again. And so he gives her this hall pass. She thinks it's a joke. She does not want to cheat on her fiance. She's actually kind of offended by it. So she goes out drinking with her best friend and she starts talking about the situation. Well, then we have our male main character, and he is a billionaire. So he owns the club that she's currently sitting in, and he is on the security feed listening to her whole conversation. And this is one of those stories with an obsessed billionaire that like sees her and absolutely has to have her. And when I say that, like this is the book that crossed every line, okay? I was here for all of it. And so he gets his workers to like have her meet him. And through a series of events, he eventually convinces her to have dinner with him and use her hall pass on him. But obviously he's not gonna let her do a hall pass with other guys. So what he does then is he decides to blackmail her and says, listen, I have you on camera talking shit about your fiance, and I will show him that if you don't keep having sex with me. So that is obviously what happens. And it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Like, he is so unhinged. He has to have her. It gets to the point where he is going to have her fiance held at gunpoint so she will leave him, have her friends held at gunpoint so she will marry him. It is just, it was unhinged goodness. Go try it. My very last one, which is actually my top read for the year. This was my top read in January last year. It was like the first book I read of the year where I knew it was going to be a top read. And then I found myself comparing every book after to that. So I think that's part of what the problem was finding a top read at the beginning of the year. But anyway, it is Rush by Emma Scott. And this is another Hurt Comfort romance. And this is just, it was beautiful. It made me cry, but it was great. So we have our female main character, and she is a violin prodigy. She goes to Juilliard. I think she's almost done with school, so she is set to make it big. And at the beginning of the story, she finds out her brother has passed away, and so instead of finishing up school, she decides to completely drop out. And so when you catch up to present day, she's working like 2 waitressing jobs trying to make ends meet. She's really, really struggling. And so she gets this job offer from a guy in one of her work restaurants to be the personal assistant of a man who has recently gone blind. So that is our male main character. And he was like an extreme sports athlete, and he lost his eyesight in a snowboarding accident. And he is really struggling to come to terms with this. He's refusing to get any kind of help at home where he will learn to be blind and adapt to this. He just doesn't want to accept that he is blind. So he's an absolute asshole to any personal assistant that he has in the house, saying he doesn't need any help at all. And so when someone who works for him meets our female main character, Charlotte, he can kind of see that she could probably go toe-to-toe with Noah. And so she ends up moving into Noah's house so she can help him out. And, you know, she teaches him how to use his hands and stuff to maneuver around. And it's just a really beautiful story. Both of them are trying to overcome grief and loss and move forward in their life. And it was just great. Highly recommend. All right, well, that is going to do it for my top reads of 2024. I want to thank you guys for sticking around. I know that I really did not post videos in 2024. Like I said, it was just a really, really hard year for me, but 2025, I'm trying to get better at a schedule. I'm trying to get back into recommendation videos. So if there's any certain recommendation videos you guys want, just reach out to me. You can comment down here. You can message me on my Bookstagram. I do get a lot of people over there. But as always, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.